Germans never knew Allied codebreakers had cracked Enigma. The real story. In the dark heart of the Second World War, a secret war was being fought, not with bombs or bullets, but with mathematics, logic, and nerve. It was a war of wits, hidden deep behind the barbed wire of a quiet English estate called Bletchley Park, where the Allies were silently dismantling the German war machine, one intercepted message at a time. The Germans believed their communications were impenetrable, locked inside the complex cogs and rotors of a machine they called Enigma. They were wrong, and they never knew it.
The birth of Enigma. The Enigma machine was originally invented in the early 1920s by a German engineer named Arthur Scherbius, intended for commercial use. It looked like a typewriter encased in a wooden box, but its apparent simplicity hid incredible complexity. Every time a letter was pressed, the machine's internal rotors rotated, changing the electrical pathway that determined which letter lit up on the output panel. With 3 rotors, 26 letters per rotor, and a plug board, Steckerbrett, that allowed manual letter swaps, the possible configurations exceeded 150 quintillion. By the 1930s, the German military adopted Enigma as its primary encryption device. It was used by the Army, Navy, and Luftwaffe, with slightly different models and key procedures. Each branch believed the machine made their communications absolutely secure. To the Germans, Enigma was unbreakable. They considered the mathematical odds of a successful decryption essentially zero, and that assumption would haunt them.
The Polish beginning. Before the war, it wasn't Britain or the United States that first attacked Enigma. It was Poland. In 1932, a team of brilliant young mathematicians, Marian Rejewski, Jerzy Różycki, and Henryk Zygalski, working for the Polish Cipher Bureau, began studying intercepted German messages. Using mathematical theory rather than linguistic clues, Rejewski reconstructed the wiring of the Enigma's rotors by exploiting small procedural flaws in how the Germans used the machine. By 1938, as Germany grew more aggressive, the Polish team had built several replicas of Enigma and even developed devices known as bombe machines, mechanical aids that could help test possible settings. But in 1939, the Germans increased Enigma's complexity by adding more rotors and changing procedures daily. Realizing that war was imminent and their resources were limited, the Poles shared all their discoveries with Britain and France. That gift, blueprints, equipment, and mathematical insight, became the foundation for what would happen next at Bletchley Park.
Bletchley Park and the Codebreakers. When war broke out, the British government gathered some of the sharpest minds in the country at a Victorian mansion in Buckinghamshire, codenamed Station X. This was Bletchley Park, a place so secret that most of its thousands of workers couldn't tell even their spouses what they did there. The group included linguists, mathematicians, engineers, chess players, and crossword champions. Among them was a young mathematician named Alan Turing. Turing, eccentric and brilliant, took the Polish insights and reimagined the mechanical code-breaking process. Working with engineer Gordon Welchman, he designed a much more powerful version of the Bombe, a machine that could test thousands of possible Enigma settings per minute by searching for logical contradictions in intercepted messages. The first Bombe, nicknamed Victory, began operating in 1940. Soon, dozens were running day and night, operated mostly by the Women's Royal Naval Service, WRENS. Their work fed into the HUTs, specialized units like HUT 6, German Army and Air Force Enigma, and HUT 8, Naval Enigma, where decrypted messages were translated, analyzed, and passed on to military intelligence.
The German mistake. The Germans' greatest weakness wasn't in their technology, it was in their faith in it. Enigma itself, mathematically speaking, was sound.
but human errors in how it was used created openings. Operators reused key settings, included predictable weather reports, or signed messages with recognizable phrases like Heil Hitler. These patterns allowed cryptanalysts to make educated guesses, or cribs, that could be tested by the bombs. Even when the Allies broke Enigma again and again, they took extreme care to conceal the success. If the Germans ever suspected the code was compromised, they could change their system entirely, and all that work would be wasted. So Bletchley Park developed the art of traffic analysis and deception. Intelligence derived from Enigma decrypts was labeled ultra, and only a handful of top Allied commanders knew its true source. Field reports were rewritten or disguised as if they came from spies, reconnaissance aircraft, or captured documents. When the Royal Navy ambushed German convoys or U-boats using decrypted data, they often staged fake patrol flights so the Germans would think they had been spotted visually, not by code breaking. The turning points. Enigma intelligence, ultra, became one of the most decisive factors in the war. During the Battle of the Atlantic, Turing's team broke the naval Enigma, allowing Allied convoys to avoid U-boat wolf packs. The loss rate of Allied shipping dropped dramatically, saving Britain from starvation. In North Africa, Ultra helped Field Marshal Bernard Montgomery anticipate Erwin Rommel's moves. Before D-Day, Enigma decrypts revealed German troop movements, defenses, and even Hitler's belief that the main invasion would come at Calais, not Normandy, a deception reinforced by other Allied intelligence operations. Every success had to be balanced with secrecy. Sometimes Allied commanders had to ignore valuable information rather than risk revealing the truth. They chose to let certain convoys be attacked or certain units fall into traps, all to protect the secret that they could read the enemy's mind. The Germans' blindness. The Germans occasionally wondered if their codes were being read, especially when operations went wrong, but their investigations always concluded that Enigma was secure. German cryptographic experts ran their own tests and confirmed that theoretically the system was unbreakable. They couldn't imagine the vast industrial-scale intelligence machine operating at Bletchley Park, with over 10,000 people working in shifts, thousands of intercepted messages processed daily, and entire warehouses filled with mechanical bombs. A few officers noticed odd coincidences, like U-boats being intercepted by chance, or Luftwaffe raids being preempted. But they always found other explanations: spies, leaks, reconnaissance planes, or sheer bad luck. The arrogance of their belief in Enigma was their downfall. They never conceived that the Allies could master both the mathematics and the engineering required to break it continuously, and to do so in absolute secrecy. After the war, when Germany surrendered in 1945, the Enigma secret was still intact. The Germans had no idea their communications had been read for years. Allied troops even captured hundreds of intact Enigma machines and codebooks, sometimes from units that believed them still secure. At Bletchley Park, the workers were sworn to silence under the Official Secrets Act. For decades, the world didn't know what they had accomplished. Even their families remained unaware. It wasn't until the 1970s that the story of Ultra and the breaking of Enigma began to emerge publicly. Ironically, after the war, British intelligence distributed captured Enigma machines to countries in Africa, the Middle East, and Asia, nations that believed they were receiving cutting-edge encryption. All the while, British cryptographers could still read their traffic. After the war, legacy. The breaking of Enigma is now recognized as one of the greatest intellectual achievements of the 20th century. Historians estimate that Ultra shortened the war by 2 to 4 years and saved millions of lives. But perhaps the most remarkable part of the story is that the Germans never knew. Their overconfidence in their unbreakable cipher blinded them to the quiet, methodical genius of the mathematicians, engineers, and ordinary men and women who turned the tide of war without ever firing a shot. In the words of one Bletchley veteran, "We were the ghosts in the wires, unseen, unheard, but always there." The Germans trusted their machine more than they trusted human fallibility. In the end, that trust destroyed them. And that is why, to the very end of the war, and long after it, the Germans never knew the Allies had cracked Enigma.